A lot of people asking tonight, how was a truck able to get down Bourbon Street in New Orleans? And was there more that could have been done to prevent this type of attack?
New Orleans was in the process of replacing barriers in the French Quarter known as bollards, which the city said today were unreliable. NBC5 investigates Bennett Haberly on the story for us. Bennett?
Yeah, Allison and Stefan, a lot of questions and criticisms over what safety measures were and were not in place ahead of that New Year's Day attack. And tonight, a Chicago alderman is calling for increased security measures right here in Chicago. Just before the attack, this video shows a white Ford F-150 driving along Canal Street and then turning right, going around a police car put in place to block vehicular traffic. Additional videos show the truck then speeding down Bourbon Street, ramming into New Year's Eve revelers. The attack and subsequent shooting injured dozens and left 15 people dead, including the attacker, who authorities identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, an American U.S. Army veteran from Texas. The FBI said Thursday he acted alone, and in social media posts claimed he was inspired by ISIS.
Let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
Jabbar's ability to get past police has raised questions about the security measures in place. In mid-November, New Orleans began removing and replacing older bollards the city says proved unreliable and have been non-operational. NBC5 Investigates found this Google Street View image from March of 2022, taken just weeks before the city hosted the Final Four that year. It shows the old bollards in place at the same intersection, along with a temporary white gate barrier. City officials said New Orleans police had been using these white barriers while the bollards were being replaced to secure the street and regulate vehicle access. In wake of the attack, City Alderman Ray Lopez is calling for enhanced security measures at Chicago events, including using mobile vehicle barriers instead of wood or plastic barricades.
This is like the third or fourth time in my lifetime I've witnessed a terrorist attack in the United States. I remember being glued to the TV for 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing, the Atlanta bombing. You know, I don't want to see that here in the city of Chicago. And if this is something that we can do that's a small change to help keep Chicagoans safe, then we should be jumping right now to get it done for the summer.
And we reached out to Mayor Brandon Johnson's office to ask about this. So far, we have not heard back. In the meantime, the Louisiana governor says there will be an after-action review of this incident. He told reporters additional security measures are in place in the French Quarter now, and that it is now safer than it was before. Allison.
All right, and they're preparing for the Super Bowl there, too. Thanks so much, Bennett.
Investigators revealing a new timeline to that attack in the French Quarter that killed 14 people.
The FBI tonight says the driver, Shamsuddin Jabbar, posted a series of videos to social media hours before the attack. FBI officials say in those videos, Jabbar proclaimed his support for ISIS. Authorities also believe Jabbar planted explosive devices in the French Quarter.
NBC5's JC Navarrete joining us live from New Orleans, talking to Chicago area football fans who were there for the game today, and I'm sure feeling the heartbreak as well, JC.
Steph and Allison, you're absolutely right. The heartbreak is still so fresh here in New Orleans. I'm just outside the Superdome where the Sugar Bowl is taking place. It's now in the fourth quarter. That's why the streets are quiet here. But I do want to give you a look at the perimeter of what we're looking at. Take a look at your screen. You'll see a vast police response here. We're seeing local police as well as sheriff deputies out here. We're seeing federal agencies up in the sky. We're hearing drones that are just keeping an eye, making sure that everything is safe for those fans inside. Now, I do have to say today the city did feel a little bit different than it did yesterday. It's still, of course, a very somber mood, but it's thanks to those fans that it started to feel a little bit like New Orleans again. Take a look at some of the video that we took earlier today of the scene. The city, of course, continues to grieve this attack, and folks are now looking for ways to move forward. It still does not feel like the Bourbon Street that everybody knows and loves, but the game going on does bring some normality. I spoke to a pair of Chicagoans that made their way out here for the game. Michael went to Notre Dame and just wanted to have a pleasant evening with his wife. The next day, they were shocked to learn what had happened, especially considering they were standing on that very ground.
You know, one minute you're having fun and enjoying yourself and laughing and joking and whatnot, and the next thing you know, you're standing next to somebody that, again, we didn't experience, but I can't imagine what your feelings would be when you see a friend laying there in the street.
Yeah, the heartbreak is unimaginable, just like Michael said right there. Coming up at 10, the investigation, of course, continues. We'll be bringing you an update. We're now heading back to the original site of the scene because there's a growing memorial there. The city is coming out and honoring those lives lost. We'll be speaking to locals, and they'll tell us the importance here as to why it's important to continue to move forward and not let evil win. I'll send things back to you guys in the studio.
All right, we look forward to your report tonight at 10. Thank you, JC.
Such an amazing city, resilient place, New Orleans. More team coverage tonight. Let's turn to NBC5 Investigates, taking a closer look at the suspect in this New Orleans attack.
Tonight, the FBI says he acted alone in the French Quarter attack in what authorities called a premeditated and evil act. Here's investigative reporter Bennett Haberly with more. Bennett.
Allison and Stefan, the FBI says the attacker in this case drove earlier this week from Houston to New Orleans and planted improvised explosive devices in coolers before carrying out this attack. Tonight, a timeline of events is providing a clearer understanding of what happened, even while there are still questions over why. The FBI says the attacker, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, rented this white Ford F-150 pickup in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove to New Orleans the next evening, posting several videos in which he reportedly proclaimed his support for ISIS.
There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote.
The FBI says it recovered an ISIS flag from the pickup. The attacker claimed to have joined the group last summer. Videos posted online show him turning past a police car meant to block traffic on Bourbon Street before speeding through the area, mowing down New Year's Eve revelers. The ramming attack and subsequent shooting injured dozens and left 15 dead, including the attacker. 2 improvised explosive devices were found inside coolers blocks apart from each other and were later rendered safe. Authorities now saying Jabbar acted alone, but they still want to talk to those who knew him.
This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar.
In a YouTube video posted 4 years ago, he talks about his real estate business and his time in the military, saying he learned great service and what it means to be responsive. Court records show he was twice divorced and recently in financial trouble. In 2022, he emailed his then-wife's attorney to ask about speeding up the divorce process, writing, "Time is of the essence. I cannot afford the house payment. It is past due, and in danger of foreclosure if we delay settling the divorce." What's not clear, the FBI acknowledges, is what was his path to radicalization. And that is why the FBI is urging people to come forward who may have known this person, may have come into contact with him either in Texas or New Orleans, and may have any information. Authorities, by the way, did also recover 3 cell phones and 2 laptops that belonged to the attacker in this case. They're going through those as we speak.
It could have been so much worse
Oh, my goodness.
had those
Right.
explosive devices gone off.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Thank you, Bennett.
Thank you very much.